My favorite hobby is books. I am almost always engaged in a story in some kind of way. But the thing that frustrates me though is trying to listen to an audiobook while I'm running errands. Usually I have multiple books that I'm listening to, but I have one book in particular that I am spending more time on. And when you're when I'm listening to my main book and I'm going in and out of stores, talking to cashiers, going from listening to it in my car to listening to it on my headphones, that's a lot of stop and go, and I don't like to interrupt my story that way. So I have started listening to shorts. There are these shorts called Amazon Originals, and one of the things that I really, really like about this is that I have experienced new authors and new genres. I have finally heard some dark fantasy. Well, I've been looking for fantasy, but this particular one was dark fantasy, and it was pretty good. So there are some pluses in this thing, but I'm going to talk to you about these books. They are 30 minutes. You can find some that are hour more or less. I think I have one that's an hour. But for the most part, the ones that I picked, they are all part of a series. Not one series. I went through the series. I picked out the author, the Black authors out of the series, and um, they're series, but they are not connected in a way that you have to listen to the other books. All the other books in the series are based on a particular topic, but they are not connected, so you don't have to read the entire series. Anyways, my name is Raquel. Welcome and welcome back. Let's get into these books. So the first book, oh, I also wanted to say um, these have some really good authors, some that, are just authors that we're familiar with. And I was blown away by that. So the first one is called Fallen Grace. It is by Sadiqa Johnson, who is the author of The Yellow Wife and The House of Eve. So Fallen Grace is a part of the Blaze collection. It is about the House of Magdalene is a place for wayward girls. Gertrude and her baby, Gertrude had her baby 9 months ago, and she gave up her baby. And now she is still at the House of Magdalene, because once you are required to give up your baby, whether you want to or not, you're going to give up the baby. And Gertrude had a baby about 9 months ago. She gave her baby away, and Gertrude is what they call a lifer. So the girls, once they give up their baby, they are supposed to stay at the House of Magdalene, and they have to pay off their debt by, cleaning and doing different chores around that property. And so that's Gertrude. And so we also have Bubbles. Now, Bubbles just had her baby on yesterday, and she has decided that she is not giving up her baby. So Bubbles and Gertrude have this plan to run away. And so um, this one was a good story. I read this one a little while ago, but I didn't even remember reading it until I started listening to it for this video. And I was like, oh, I read this before. And it was really good. I liked that story. Then we have number two, 5 Years to Come. This is by Asha Lemi, and I had never heard of Asha Lemi. This is also part of the Blaze collection. The Blaze collection, I believe, is 6 books, and there were two African American authors in that series. So I went ahead and got both of those. This one is about a girl named Carlotta. Carlotta is a Black girl who was informally adopted by an Italian family when she was a little girl. And throughout her life, she was kind of felt, I guess, out of place. But she also felt connected to her family. And so uh, this book kind of to me, she proves that she's Italian, even though she's black. It's a her family is part of the Italian mob. This was a really good book. I enjoyed this one as well, and I don't know what kind of book it is. I guess it's just. I guess it would be urban fiction. I guess. Um, then you have Deluge, which is by Charmaine Wilkerson. And this is from the Intentions collection. This is about a girl named Dina who is trying to understand how she was adopted after her mother passes away, and her mother's husband is her stepfather, and she calls him Steppy. And so she finds out that she was adopted in talking with Steppy. She always thought she was, but she kind of got it confirmed through Steppy, and she is asking him a bunch of questions. And Steppy doesn't really know because she was already there when he got with her mother. Her mother and her father got a divorce, and so Steppy only knows what her mother told him. And so she is kind of going over that information with Steppy, and she finds that she's going to have to go out on her own and find out what's going on because they're not matching up very well. That was a really good story. I enjoyed this one as well. And then you have The Candles Are Burning. This is by Veronica G. Henry, whom I had never heard of, never read her books before. This one is the Into the Shadows collection. This one is about Maggie. Maggie has what they call the gift of sight. So she can see things happening or whatever. This one is kind of a scary thing. It's a dark fantasy, and she can she can see into the spirit world. I think that's what the gift of sight is. Or she's able to see things that are not really there. I guess maybe they're happening in the future or something like that. And her husband passes away and something's happening, and she's gotta understand what these sight what this these sightings, or this stuff that she's seeing. She has to understand what's happening in order to whatever's gonna happen. So something bad's gonna happen. She has to understand these visions in order to stop whatever it is from happening. I'm so sorry, just kind of lost. Anyway, that one was okay. It wasn't bad. It was this one was the dark fantasy one. It kind of started out a little weird, but as I got into it, I started to enjoy it a bit more. Um, and then we have The Garden by Tommy Champion Adeyemi. I'm so sorry, do not know how to pronounce it. But this one is also the Into the Shadows collection. This book is about a woman named Lena, and I don't know. It kind of sounds like a poem, and it's about her being sad or something. I really didn't get this book at all. I can't. I did not like it, and I don't know if I didn't like it because it kind of reminded me of a poem and I was listening to it instead of reading it. I just didn't get it, and I actually listened to it twice. I did not get this at all, so I cannot say it was good or bad. I'm just gonna say that I didn't understand it. And then we have Scorpions by Rachel Housel Hall. I've seen her name before, but whenever I see her name, it always reminds me of that lady, Rachel. Her name is similar to this, but she's the lady who was white who has turned herself into a black person. And whenever I see this name, I always think of that. So I never really looked too much into the name because it always kind of turned me off a bit. But for this one, I looked her up and she is most definitely a black lady. Scorpions was so good to me. I enjoyed this book. So, Scorpions is from the Never Tell collection. It's a story about this girl named Francesca. So, Francesca is a college dropout and she's not doing so well. She is a caretaker for this 87-year-old guy, and the guy dies. And he tells her this fantastic story about how he used to be a really good thief, and he sends her on a scavenger hunt to get the treasure that he hid when he, did this huge heist. And he tells her to stay away from his son. She doesn't listen, and she gets what she gets, unfortunately. But this was a really good story. I would have loved for this one to be an entire, like a full fledged novel. And the funny thing about these books is that they read like full novels, even though they're shorts. They have all the information. I remember thinking to myself, dang, she's got a lot of details in here. And I think this one was 30 minutes. But it was really, really good. I totally enjoyed Scorpions. That was number 6. And number 7 is Just a Girl by Alyssa Cole, which I did not finish this one. And there was no real reason why. Well, okay. I did not finish this one. I did not like the voice. And another thing, you can read it on Kindle Unlimited, but you can also listen to it on Audible. And so I listened to Just a Girl by Alyssa Cole on Audible, and the voice was so irritating to me. I could not. Um, I listened to probably the first 5 minutes or so. I do know that it comes on, and basically you are listening to the girl. She is in her TikTok account, basically. And so she is communicating back and forth, and she is making posts and different things like that. And basically, in the synopsis, it tells you that um, she is going to enter the dating scene online. She's going to turn down this guy, and then a bunch of high value guys are going to kind of turn on her and start to attack her online. That's what the synopsis says. Like I said, I only listened to about maybe 5 minutes. The voice was super irritating. And so it's possible I might go back and just read it so that I don't have to listen to that. I think, and I'm not 100% sure, I listened to one of them. I think it was Scorpion. I listened to that on Alexa, and I think it still used the audible voice because it did not sound like the normal Alexa voice. I'm not 100% sure about that. I'm not 100% sure about that, but um, maybe I'll try Just a Girl on Alexa. Is when I say her name, she starts to talk. I don't want to hear that. Anyway, and so number 8 is called Graceful Burdens. This one was my favorite. I think this one is sci-fi, which I found really strange. I'm not into sci-fi. Like when I think of sci-fi, I think of Star Trek. I loved Star Trek growing up. Like, I mean, from a little girl back with the original Star Trek. I watched Star Trek: The Next Generation, Star Trek. I watched the Star Trek movies, um, Deep Space Nine. Like, I loved Star Trek, but that's as far as my sci-fi go. And reading it has never really appealed to me. But this Graceful Burdens It's by a woman named Roxane Gay. I have never heard of her, never read any of her books, but I am now going to look her up after this. So this is from the Out of Line collection, and this one was crazy. So there's this lady, her name is Hadley, and it starts out with her going to the library to borrow a baby. So this kind of it kind of reminds me of the Handmaid's Tale, just kind of with a twist. So, in this particular book, in order for you to have children, you have to be authorized to have children. Once you get that authorization, they pick a mate for you, and then you have a baby. Everybody doesn't get to have a baby because um, it has something to do with like your DNA or something. I really can't remember. It wasn't that long ago, but I've read all 10 of these books, um, just in the past couple of days. And so, because I read them read or either listened to them one after the other, um, like some of the details are a little fuzzy. However, I enjoyed this one. I know that for a fact. And this is another one that I really, really wished was a novel instead of a short. So yeah, I I did enjoy this one. I said that it reminded me of The Handmaid's Tale with a twist. So nobody's making anybody have a baby or anything. Oh, it also reminds me of that other book. Dang on it. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll put a picture up of that other book that it reminds me of. And then Just Out of Jupiter's Reach, which I think also is a sci fi. It's about a woman who goes to space for 10 years, and she is given 10 million euros to go to space. And when you go to space, you have to spend that time by yourself. Now, there are other people going to space, but they discourage you from having too much contact with other people. And she does have some contact with them, and it's a really good story. I enjoyed this one as well. This one was good, and I did not anticipate enjoying this one. This one is by Needy Nettie Nnedi Okafor. I think she wrote the book Death of an Author. But yeah, and then there is the last and final book is called. It is by Jasmine Ward. I'm sorry, let me go to that because I literally forgot. It's called Mama Swamp or Swamp Mom, or I'm gonna have to. I'll put that one up as well when I put the picture up. This one was good as well. This one read like poetry, and if you've ever read The Descendants, I think The Descendants is the only book I've read by Jasmine Ward. And when I read The Descendants, I thought to myself, wow, this kind of reads like poetry. And this one reads like poetry as well. It is about, I want to say, 5 or 7 generations of women. And it just kind of is talking about um, like the things that were passed down from generation to generation. And I really liked this one. It was felt like historical fiction, generational. I enjoyed it. I really did. It was so good. I wanted to read it again because I was in the middle of working, and unfortunately, um, I wasn't able to pay close attention to it, but I did hear it, and that's another reason why doing certain things I don't like to read my main book is because a lot of times I'm doing something where I cannot give the book 100% of my attention. So it's kind of going in and out, in and out. And I just don't like having to rewind. But with this, or, go back. With this one, um, it had maybe about 30% of my attention. I know that it reads like poetry, and I know it's about generations of women, and they're talking about different things that were passed down. That's about as much as I could tell you about it. But I did like what I heard, and also I am going to make time to read it again. I have a few books by Jasmine Ward. I have Men We Reach, Salvage Bones, uh, Where the Blood, Where the Line Bleeds. And I actually have only read The Descendants. And so, because this one and The Descendants read like poetry, I most definitely am going to have to get into get into her work. I did try and read Men We Reaped, but I had like a little issue, but that might have just been me and, whatever I was going through at the time. So I am definitely going to give it a second chance. So that is 10 shorts by Amazon Original. This is not a paid promotion. It's not a promotion at all. It is just about these books that I found, and I really enjoyed. I think I enjoyed most of them. I like the fact that at the time that was reading them, they fit in what I had going on because they were short. Um, for the most part, I think out of the 10 books, I actually read 11. There was another one. Let me see. What was the other one I read? It was called Out of Jupiter's Reach. Oh, okay. I think I told. Yeah, yeah. I already did that one. There was another one called A Righteous Man, but I didn't get a chance to read that one. It is in the Trespass collection. It is by Tony Onyebuchi. Um, I'm not going to say it again because I'm pretty sure I butchered that person's name. But I didn't get a chance to read this one, so I switched it out for the one by Jasmine Ward, um, because I found the Jasmine Ward one after I had already did everything I was going to do. But it was by Jasmine Ward, so I wanted to read it. Um, so just to go back over the names of I guess it would be 11 books at this point. Let's see. Number one, Fallen Grace by Sadiqa Johnson. It is part of the Blaze collection. Number two is Fires to Come. It's by Asha Lemme. It is also part of the Blaze collection. You have Deluge by Charmaine Wilkerson. It is in the Intentions collection. You have the Candles Are Burning. This was by Veronica G. Henry, uh, part of the Into the Shadow collection. Then we have Garden by Tony Champion Adeyemi, and this was Into the Shadows collection. Scorpions by Rachel Housel Hall. This was the Never Tell collection. Just a Girl by Alyssa Cole. This is the Obsession collection. Graceful Burdens by Roxanne Gay. This is the Out of Line collection. A Righteous Man by Tony Onyebuchi. This is the Trespass collection. Just Out of Jupiter's Reach was Needy Okafor, and this was the Trespass collection. And I will have to put the one by Jasmine Ward, Mama Swamp or Swamp Mama. on the screen so that you can see that one. I'll put the collection that is from. Each one of these have a like 6 books in each collection. I think one of them has 7. I'm not sure. And you guys can definitely read the collection, but um, just to be honest, I only read African American authors. Have not read anybody who was not African American in, I don't know how many years. It's been a whole lot of years. I can't even remember. But if you'd like to, you can go ahead and read the collection. That's why I gave you the name of it, just in case you're interested. Um, Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, see you soon.